Remedy Entertainment are known for games like Alan Wake, Control, Quantum Break, Max Payne, and then you have CrossfireX. So welcome back to CrossfireX. In this video, I'm going to be doing a full-on review, not a first impressions, full-on review of the 2 campaigns that launched with CrossfireX. And just quickly before we get into them, if you're not currently subbed to the channel, make sure you do sub, turn notifications on. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like. All support is greatly appreciated. And if you want to support me further as a creator, then check out the links in the description. And let's get into it. So, the very first thing I am going to say is spoiler alert. I do not care enough about these campaigns to avoid spoilers. So if you are interested in the campaigns and you want to play them regardless of what anyone else says, do not watch this video. Come back after you've played the campaign if you're still interested in my opinion. So, now the spoiler warning is out there. Catalyst is the free campaign through Game Pass. It took them 5 days to sort that out and it lasted 1 hour 45 minutes. Spectre is the paid campaign. So you don't get this one free if you're with Game Pass. You have to pay for this one. And it took 1 hour and 20 minutes to complete. Recommended difficulty, watching every single cutscene. And altogether, 2 campaigns lasted 3 hours. And I typically get comments when I do first impressions. And people say, you can't base a game off the first hour of gameplay. You've got to play at least like 4 or 5 hours, maybe even more, to get a real taste of what the game's about. 2 campaigns, 3 hours. If someone said you have to play a game for at least 2 hours before you're eligible or qualified to leave a review, these campaigns would never be reviewed because they are not long enough. So jumping into Catalyst, which is the one that is free through Game Pass, and I mean this first bit goes for both. I've got points for Catalyst, Spectre, and both of the campaigns. Then I've got a couple of weird bits that I want to talk to you about. And this one I just never moved it. So this is for both. Very generic, boring stories. Incredibly fucking predictable. The game, like the campaigns, both of them feel so arcadey. It's unbelievable. And just so you know, I played on the recommended difficulty. I believe you get easy, recommended, hard. Or something like that. So I played on the one that they suggest you should play on. So in Catalyst, you have some cool scenes. The action's not too bad. There's a couple of bits that make you go, oh, that was pretty decent. But nothing out of this world. I do, however, really like how they give you certain parts where you control different characters. That's one thing that stood out that was really, really good. The hit registration, or hit detection, is absolutely awful, no matter which weapon you are using. And as I said, the Catalyst campaign took around 1 hour and 45 minutes, including watching every single cutscene. But that's all I've got to say about that first campaign. So in 1 hour and 45 minutes, if I was just reviewing that one, it'd be video done. But Spectre, because you've got to realise this is a free-to-play game, CrossfireX. The campaigns are paid for. Unless you've got Game Pass, Catalyst is free. So they're going to chuck you the worst one out of the 2 completely free. Like through Game Pass, I know you're paying subscription, but the one that's quote-unquote free-to-play, they're going to give you the worst one out of the 2 just because you're not paying extra money for it. However, like I say all that about the free one being the worst one or whatever, they're both just as fucking bad as each other, really. The campaign for Spectre starts with absolutely no introduction. The AI seemed to be a lot dumber in Spectre. I saw a lot more AI standing around instead of shooting me. In Spectre, the AI go down, so in a down state instead of always instantly dying, which does not happen in Catalyst. The setting of the entire campaign is so much cooler. There are bullet sponge drones. They're a thing in this, and they are annoying. The first part of the campaign, like the first 20 minutes or something, already has way better action than the whole of Catalyst. Not only that, but there were a few different types of collectibles in Catalyst. In Spectre, there is one that I found, that I think there might be 2 or 3 or something, but there was one I found, which was toys, little teddies. There are 55 of them, and I believe that's actually more than every collectible combined in the Catalyst campaign. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's what it felt like. Because the collectibles I was finding in Catalyst, 0 out of 7, 1 out of 6, all that sort of stuff. As soon as I jumped in and found my first one being a teddy, 1 out of 55. It's like, Jesus Christ, how many teddies have you stuffed around this campaign? And you find them quite often, because you think about it, an hour and 20 minutes for Spectre, 55 collectibles being the teddy bears. Yeah, they're not very spaced out. Accuracy for the weapons you get to use in Spectre, because the weapons are different, the characters are different, it was shocking. No matter which gun I used. Absolutely dreadful accuracy. Hit reg is horrible. And also in Spectre, you get a couple of puzzles. So moving on from Spectre to both campaigns, when I installed them, the base game of CrossfireX is about 7 gig on the Series X. Catalyst is about 21 gig. And Spectre is about 25 gig. And bearing in mind, I've had to pay for Spectre. I know they're not expensive. They're like $7.50 each if you own Game Pass. And that's like 10% off. So they're, I don't know, we'll say they're roughly £8 each. So I mean, £8, you're getting a little over an hour for Spectre. You're getting a little under 2 hours for Catalyst. I mean, make of that what you will. I don't think they're worth the money at all. I think £8 is still too expensive for these campaigns. However, yes, you get Catalyst free if you've got Game Pass. But ever since I installed both of them, I've noticed heavy frame drops on the main menu of CrossfireX, because you have to load CrossfireX onto the multiplayer, then you select one of the 2 campaigns from the main menu. The reloading in both of them is inconsistent. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. There were multiple times I had to press my reload button, being X on the Xbox controller. I had to press it a couple of times for my guns to reload. And there was also one time towards the end of Spectre where I tried reloading, it did no animation but put all the bullets in my mag. And out of both of them, if you're looking for some sort of a story from them, I believe Spectre is the second campaign. However, there's I believe it is. It feels like it definitely is. However, there's a couple of things that really throw you off. As I said, I was playing on the recommended difficulty and the health regeneration was so quick. It's supposed to be like a balanced difficulty. It's recommended for players to try it on that one. And I mean, you sit behind cover and within 2 seconds, from your screen going grey and you being like 1 shot away from death, you're back to full health. Both campaigns focus on a mission being compromised and saving the team. And then you have the boring, typical traitors in both campaigns. They both play exactly the same, they just have a variation of the story. And that's another thing that really pissed me off. I was hoping for something different with Spectre. And then this is the bit that really threw me off. Like, this is what confused the whole situation. So in terms of the campaigns and the settings, it feels as though the Spectre campaign is the second campaign, and it feels like that for the majority of it. However, there are some things that are really confusing. So basically, at the end of Catalyst, Kavanagh, which is basically the main character you play, because you do switch characters, but the main one you play, known as Hall, is like his best friend, or his wife's brother, or something like that. I can't remember it exactly. But basically, he's having data extracted from his mind using the Catalyst, and they are trying to predict the future to, like, win the war. Cheat and win the war. Or win the wars. And he gets freed, or rescued, or whatever, by Hall at the end, and you see him briefly at the beginning of Spectre. However, you never find out what actually happens to him. But there's a woman called Fontaine, and in Catalyst, she is walking around doing normal stuff, and at the end of the story, she gets shot twice and falls over this barrier. Now in Spectre, which is the follow-up, she's in a wheelchair, and from what I could make out, she looked a lot different. So I don't know how much time has passed or anything like that. I don't know how she survived it. Like, when I say these campaigns are weird, there's no explanation as to how any of it's fucking happening. They've just made 2 separate campaigns and explained nothing. It's really weird. Like, there are some things that are really going to throw you off. And you'll think, is Spectre the second campaign? Is it the first one? It's going to, like, be really confusing. So I've done the best I can, made, like, the best out of it. And I believe Catalyst is the first one, Spectre's the second. However, they don't really meet up. There's no explanation as to how any of it's actually happening, what's going on, all that sort of stuff. And it's just, like, just putting a blunt word to it, it's fucking shit. If you don't have Game Pass and you're paying for these campaigns, let's say you're paying $20 for both of them. You're going to get around 3 hours of gameplay, arcadey gameplay, where there's issues with your shooting and everything, or your hit reg, things like that. One campaign has enemies going down, the other they all just die straight away. You have a story that makes absolutely no sense, and you have to go through a multiplayer game main menu to get to the campaigns, and each of them have to be loaded separately. So I don't understand how Remedy have gone from Control, Alan Wake, Max Payne, Quantum Break to CrossfireX, Operation Catalyst, and Operation Spectre. It's the biggest fall I believe a company could make when it comes to creating story stuff. These campaigns absolutely suck. The only thing that is going for them is the fact that they are playable from beginning to end. You won't come across any game-breaking bugs, or at least I didn't. But you've got to think, you're paying $20 for 3 hours of content, unless you're sitting there going through and looking for all the collectibles. The gameplay in general and all the cutscenes together will be about 3 hours. So I 100% don't think they're worth the money at all. I'm actually quite annoyed that I sat there and played through them because they are that bad. They're so predictable. They've got the most generic storylines. Both of them, as I said, have the typical traitors, and both of them are based on missions being compromised and you have to go and save the team. The one thing that really stood out as a positive for them wasn't even Spectre, it was Catalyst, and that is how they give you control of different characters at certain parts. So 1 minute you'll be going through using a machine gun like an assault rifle and you'll be mowing down enemies, and the next minute you'll be switching over to the sniper character. It's all forced through the gameplay, you don't get to pick when you change. But 1 minute you'll be using the AR, next you'll be using a sniper, and the snipers are very powerful. They're a one-shot kill. I mean, unless you're shooting the enemy in the leg or something, sometimes they do sponge one. But yeah, Spectre went from like Catalyst being your standard arcadey sort of short campaign. Spectre had a better setting. It felt more fun, and I don't know, I think it was just because of the setting. It just felt like the better campaign of the two. But even that had a really shit story. And I found more issues, and you got the bullet sponge drones and stuff in the Spectre campaign. So yeah, I'm not a fan of these at all. I've played both of them to completion, seen the credits, sped them up because they're boring. And it took me a total of 3 hours for 2 campaigns. So I'm not going to give these a rating, but I will advise to steer clear of them because they are not worth your time, your money, or the effort. Not a single bit. And what we're going to do is leave the video there. Let me know your thoughts and stuff in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed it.